Matt, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what capacity outside of a filmmaker, some of the other things you do, including your own film festival, of course.
Well, hi, Cindy. Thanks for having me, and thanks for showing the movie as well.
Yes.
My name is Matt Croyle. I'm a writer, director, um, based out of New Orleans. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but I relocated to New Orleans at the beginning of the year. So that's where I am now. I do run I founded and run the Oil Valley Film Festival every year. This year is going to be our 5th year, and that's taking place in at the beginning of December.
Hmm.
So we're really excited about that. And so, I mean, yeah, I do a lot of different things. You know, I'm a produced playwright, made a feature film, made web series, um, just a whole bunch of stuff. That's just me. I just like to kind of do everything. So
Absolutely. Now, tell me, because you're in Louisiana, we all know you guys have had your struggles recently. Tell me a bit about
yeah.
how you're managing with everything that's going on, especially with the new stuff.
Well, yeah, Louisiana was hit pretty hard as far as the virus is concerned, and
Right.
so we're still in that kind of still in the social distancing and keep things kind of calm phase, and there's that constant battle locally or whatever with people, but I personally have tried to stay as safe as possible and try to be as creative as possible at the same time. Yeah, we did just get hit by
Right.
Hurricane Laura, which was crazy, and for a while there it was really really scary because the first hurricane, Marco, because he had 2 hurricanes coming into the Gulf of Mexico at the same time, and they were going to make landfall at the same time. And literally at one point, they were projected to cross paths and hit directly above, like right where I am. And
Oh
so
my
like
God.
for like 3 days, I'm just sitting here freaking out, going like, I'm going to get hit by 2 hurricanes at exactly the same time. This has never happened before. So it was really freaky. It was my first hurricane experience being down here. And so that would have been a doozy to have that be my first hurricane experience. But luckily that didn't happen. Marco kind of puttered out before it hit land. And then Laura hit west of us. And it's unfortunate for the people over in the Lake Charles area because there was quite a bit of devastation done. But I think people that live in these areas of the United States that are prone to natural disasters, Southern California with earthquakes, and you have Tornado Alley up through the middle of the United States with tornadoes, and Gulf and southern East Coast with like North Carolina and Florida with hurricanes, and people that live in these places are pretty resilient people. I remember being down here a year after Katrina had hit for the first time. It was the first time I ever visited New Orleans, and the resilience of the city in itself and how much work to bring the city back just within that first year that I saw was mind-boggling. And maybe that was put a little seed in the back of my head, like I kind of like it. I like these people; they're pretty strong, and I love the architecture down here and just kind of the vibe. So that was maybe a little seed I put in the back of my head, said next time you relocate anywhere, that's where you're going. but
Look at
but
that.
yeah, who knows.
Now, I have to ask the question because a lot of us filmmakers and writers, et cetera, are concerned about the industry. Clearly, of course, a lot of our friends in New York and LA, and the circumstances there. So I want to talk to you a bit about how Louisiana is standing in terms of when are you guys going back to set? Are you going back to set? Are you losing your indie theaters, et cetera? Because that seems to be the trend right now.
Yeah, I try to, because I'm not personally ready to jump back on the
Sure.
production train, but there are people who are. I know. I believe it was either the city of New Orleans or the state came up with some production guidelines that are COVID safe guidelines that you need to follow.
Hmm.
And I think that this was done either with the direction of the unions or kind of in conjunction with them. or basing any kind of decision making off of what their decisions are, to try to get people back on set and back on set safely. Now, it's a very strange thing. It might be easier to do smaller productions that way because you're not dealing with, you know, a large, huge crew.
Sure.
For instance, you know, we just had Robert Pattinson come down
Oh,
with
yeah.
COVID-19 on set of the Batman, and they had to shut production down. You, it's a really weird thing. I think if the less people you have to manage, the better right now, because
Yep.
at least you can keep track of who's where, who's doing what, and you can kind of contact trace if need be in a way easier than you would on a major motion studio picture. So if I was to kind of give advice to anybody right now, as far as independent filmmaking goes, keep your crews small,
Hmm.
and keep them honest. So
Sure, you betcha. Absolutely. Now, potential inertia. I have a ton of new questions because I was mulling this over. First of
ah,
all, to the people that will go back and see this interview who are not here or even are here, I noticed that you're like one of many filmmakers, which is if you have a cast and a crew, you utilize them in multiple directions. Like I noticed that, of course, Matthew was doing the camera with you, etc. So you all kind of pitch in and do that. So here's my question to you. How do you figure out, that's what I always wondered, like if you're at the helm and you're like, all right, well, how do you know Matt King is going to be able to do camera? Or how do you know so-and-so? You know what I mean? How do you figure out who in your crew is capable of multitasking? And how well does that work out when they're doing, you know, lead actor responsibilities? Because he's the lead.
right. Um, yeah, that's a tricky thing, especially when you're like for me, if I'm acting in a scene that I'm also directing, if you know, so like it's one of those things where when you're in front of the camera, you just kind of have to take that director hat off.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, I wrote it, so I understand the character. So I would give myself multiple takes as far as versions of you know, line readings and things like that, and then you know, to go and watch the playback on it, you know, to figure out whether or not you know, that's when the director hat goes back on, you know, in the
Right.
midst of shooting the scene to watch the playback. And I can, you know, I was able to really kind of figure out whether or not I got what I wanted to get. But it's weird to juggle that because like in front of the camera, director hat's off, behind the camera, director hat comes back on. Now, luckily, Matt, I knew before we started shooting that Matt had gone to film school at Temple University. So he had that production background anyway. And so I was able to just kind of trust him as far as, you know, camera work was concerned when he was actually filming and stuff like that. So
I gotcha. Now, I don't think I asked you this before, but I want to know why you, this Matthew, is not playing Declan's character himself.
why?
Why
Well,
you didn't play Declan?
I originally didn't want to be in the movie.
Oh,
It was never planned for me to actually be in the film at all. But uh, the role of Olivia and the role of Dr. Semler were both recast multiple times. Um, the person you see, Sarah Shaga, who plays Olivia in the film,
mhm.
she was the fourth actor
Oh gosh.
lined up to play that role. Obviously, because people drop out or people can't do it. So, like literally, she was the fourth person that was cast in that role, and I was the third person to do, you know, to be cast as Dr. Stemler.
Mhm.
And it gets to a point, you know, when you're on an indie production like that, and you have people not being able to fulfill their duties, or you know, other things come up, or there's family problems, or there's, you know,
Sure.
transportation problems or job problems or whatever, you know, because that's ultimately what making a movie is. When you're directing, you just
Yes.
problem solve 90% of the time anyway. So it ultimately just came down to the fact that that I didn't think I was going to find anybody else to do it, and we had to shoot, and I just said I'll just do the role. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, it
Got
was, you know, once we held original auditions, Matt was always going to be Declan. He was always going to be that part in the film.
You betcha. Now, I can see the intensity by which he plays the role, meaning that not only physically, but mentally, psychologically, it can be very challenging for an actor. So, my question to you is, did he speak to it all about in terms of, we talk a lot about some characters, actors can literally jump in and jump out at the end of the day. Not
Mhm.
everybody is capable for that. So, tell me a bit about how long he was in character. I mean, how long did it take to shoot it? And did he struggle with that? Was that the whole, get in, get out syndrome where they try to shake off the character and sometimes they can't?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Matt did an amazing job with the
Yes.
role. There were parts in the film. I don't know whether it was maybe from being being pushed for time or pressed for time, or um, maybe I might have not been in the right headspace for the day. That there were parts I maybe wish that I would have pushed him more as a director. For
Ah.
a couple instances for that,
Mhm.
but but he really felt that role, and he's to this day he says it was one of the most rewarding experiences he's ever had making a movie, um, because he really worked hard to get that right. It's a weird role because it's, to me, it kind of feels very Hamlet like, in the sense that, like, there is that question, like, I'm either going to do stuff or I'm just going to not do anything at all.
Mhm.
And he doesn't understand which way he needs to kind of go with that. um, but he was able to get in and out of character, relatively quickly, so
Oh,
that was
nice.
that was always pretty impressive to me.
No kidding. Impressive to me too, because not every actor, of course, can do that. I
Right.
also found interesting, and maybe it's just my take on this, but I noticed how careful you were to make sure that each of the particular music pieces matched and molded properly with the mood of the scene. You did a really nice job of matching that up.
Thank you.
I'm curious to ask about process. Not a lot of filmmakers talk to me about the process of selection of music and how difficult that is to, tailor it to the theme of the movie. How challenging is that? Tell us a bit about that process, at least in your eyes.
Well, this was an interesting thing. Luckily, an old professor of mine at Clarion University, my alma mater, where I graduated university from, um, named Brent Register. I asked if he wanted to score the film, and he had some free time, and he says, I'm not going to know exactly, what you expect of me or what you need. But he's like, we can try to do this, because he'd never done anything like that before.
Mhm.
Um, and so pretty much the process of that was, I would literally be shooting scenes, and well, first off, obviously I sent him the script, so he knew the story and could understand the story, to maybe give himself a starting point as far as tone and stuff like that goes. The score was tailored for the film. I would say, I would shoot him an email at 1 o'clock in the morning some nights, and be like, Brent, I need a minute and a half of utter sadness, or I need 45 seconds of possibility, and things like that. And so he would find this way, and he usually got it right, like, every time, the first time. Like, I
Mhm.
was so impressed, like, with the way that Brent was able to take these tiny cues from me, and know what scene we were doing in the script, and then just kind of, come up with something. But the thematics of the overall score are all thematically sound, and they match, and there's only one piece of music in the entire thing that is a little bit off, and that's when Declan and Dr. Stemler are in Stemler's apartment, and he's drinking, and they're having drinks or whatever.
Right.
uh, the discord there was designed to be based on the discord that they are having in the moment itself. But yeah, Brent and I worked really, really well, and relatively quickly, because he was sending me pieces as I edited. And in the end, ultimately, what occurred uh, is he had these finished pieces, and so there is this full 12 to 17 minute, like, orchestral suite that accompanies the film, that like that is a complete suite that was able to be put together, which is pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Now, to those that are listening in or haven't seen the film yet, give them a nice 2-minute rendition or synopsis, I should say, of your film. And then after that, if you would, let everybody know. Sometimes people do feature films specifically because they have one of two reasons. Well, three really. Either you want to do a movie where everyone's going to see it. You want to do a movie because you're in the process of healing, and so it's really all for you. So then please tell your audience which of those two it was for, or both of them. Because some people just do movies because they need to heal, or they're recovering from something, or realizing something.
Well, the film itself is about loss. I write about loss all the time, and it never leaves my writing. It's just it's the one thing that we all have to go through, regardless of who we are, or where we're from, or what
Sure.
religion we are, or what our lifestyle is like. It's a very human thing to do. The film is about this young college dude who's graduating from college and going out into this is the canned version that I have for everybody, quote unquote, real world, going out into the real world. And he's dealing with loss like he's never dealt with before in his life. And the story itself is about whether or not you kind of give into the despair of dealing with these huge life-changing things, or whether or not that you embrace the people that care about you around you, and let them help you get through it, because we can't always get through things by ourselves. So that's kind of the gist, the basic rundown of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the second part again?
I was asking, when you initially set out and wrote this and put it together, you said, okay, we're going to make a movie. Was
Right.
the ultimate goal in part because you had something that you were healing from, or recognizing, or realizing in your life at that time, and that made it better? Or was it just, we're going to make this great movie, get 1 million people to see it, because some filmmakers are really set on, it's all about getting it out there, etc. So where were you at? Because this was a while ago compared to where you are now.
Well, yeah, I mean, the time I wrote the script, I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
And so, which was like almost 20 years ago at this point. That's crazy.
I know, it's wild, isn't it? Like, damn, I'm old.
So weird to me. And the thing is, it holds up, which is really weird, because it's not about a specific time or a specific place. It's just about humans.
Sure.
And so, fortunately, yeah, it does actually hold up. So I wrote it. I started it in college and then finished it going through a divorce. And I think the divorce was the catalyst for me to get it done, to actually write the script. But yeah, that process was really me purging those emotions and things that I was feeling from going through a divorce, in my mid-20s. So the script itself was born out of emotion.
Sure.
100%. Me making the film, I've always been interested in movies, and you and I have had this conversation, and that was always kind of a thing, another outlet for me to be, to have creatively.
Sure.
And so it was never I've never been the kind of person who is like, I want to make something just so I can make a bunch of money. Like, that's not what art is. That's not what I need to do as an artist. Like, I don't need $50 million to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be famous. These aren't things that I've ever wanted. Those are not things that I want. I want to be able to show people that they're not alone. And so anytime that I put things out, it's always under the idea that I'm at least letting people know. And a lot of stuff I do put out is born from, what I go through.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, it really is just, it's me telling people that it's okay and that they're not alone.
Sure.
And I think for me, that as long as I'm doing that, then it makes me feel good, and I feel like I can be successful in what I'm doing. So.
Gotcha. Now, in terms of, I spoke to another filmmaker about this who had a subject. Like yesterday, we showed Mila Hudson's movie, which of course centers around her struggle with wanting to commit suicide, of course. Now, a while ago, I talked to a filmmaker that had legitimate concerns about what if someone watches this movie, and even if the outcome was a good one, it maybe instills their fear or builds it up even more, and ultimately ends up with that person attempting to do something to harm themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're dealing with talking about suicide in a movie, did it ever concern you at all to where you think, oh gosh, what if some people watch this and then they're more inclined to be more harmful to themselves than helpful? Did that ever occur to you? Did you ever worry about those messages that you're sending out?
Yeah. Because it's always a very, very touchy thing. I've known
Oh
people that have
yes.
committed suicide, and I think we all have. We all have those people in our lives that we know have taken their own. I wanted to make sure that the focus wasn't on that. The focus of the film was about the relationships and not whether or not he would kill himself or not.
Mhm.
I mean, ultimately, that's part of what the climax of the film ends up being, but that's not what the movie's about. And I think it was very important for me to make the movie not about that.
Sure. Absolutely, I agree with you. Well, and I have to ask this is the first time I'm trying this out, so I'm going to try it out on you, Matt. I have what I call
Oh
my
God.
fun five. This is like a new thing I'm doing. Like, let's do the fun five, which is let's ask Matt five fun questions if he can remember about the stuff on set. So here we go.
Oh
Question
my
number
gosh.
one. These are all potential inertia related. Number one, funniest moment on set.
The funniest moment on set is the day that it's a piece of a shot that ends up in the end of the movie where Declan lays down with Olivia and they're on the bed and he runs his hand behind her hair there right
Yeah.
at the end. Well, that bed, Matt actually laid on the bed and the entire bed just broke and fell straight to the floor. And
Oh my God.
I still have the outtake of it, and it's one of the most hilarious moments that I was able to ever snag on camera.
Oh my gosh. How many times did you cry on set, Matt?
Did I cry
On set at all?
making it?
Yep.
None.
Oh my God! I totally would have pegged you for the crier because of the
Well,
subject.
the day that we shot Matt and Michael Shaheen, who plays his dad, at the last scene that they have together,
Yes.
I got really choked up, but I didn't cry.
Darn it. All right, number three. Looking back, would you have cast or recast anybody differently? That's not a
No.
diss, by the way, on actors when they hear
Right.
this panel. Please don't hate me, Matt King or anyone. But no, did you ever really think to yourself, you know what? Yeah, maybe I'm asking too much of them, or they're
No.
not ready. That sort of thing.
No. And like I said, the majority of the actors in the film were first time actors. There's a few that
Right.
had done movies before, but the majority of them were first time actors, and I wouldn't change it. I think the rawness of it, the newness of it to them was beneficial to the film. They go into this blind, and so
God, right?
I think we were able to just snag the realness of it by the cast that we had, and I'm proud of the cast that I'm really proud of the cast we
Me
had.
too. That's awesome. Hi, Jennifer, by the way. I'm not ignoring you. Just doing the panel. Nice to meet you.
I know. Hi,
Thanks,
Susie.
thanks,
How are
thanks.
you?
There's
Nice to meet you.
Sylvia. She's like got a fly. Oh my God, I'm so excited. All my favorite people are here today. All right, back to you, Matt. Number four. Question number four is, did you ever say to yourself, I don't want to direct this anymore. I want to replace yourself?
No, but I never said I wanted to replace myself, but there were times where I thought to myself, like, oh my God, how much longer can I do this? Because it's driving me, like, I just want it to be done. Because like I said, like, as you well know, it took 2.5 years to make this
Right.
independent film. But the patience was, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that to the people that were giving their time and effort on this movie. I couldn't disappoint them, and I had to finish it. It was just, once we started it, I had to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, and question number five is, would you be able to cut your budget on the original film now, knowing what you know now about filmmaking? A good one.
I don't know. I don't think. because we shot on such a low end camera,
Okay.
the actors were pretty much working for free. No, I don't think we could. I think we got a $10,000 movie for $10,000.
That's awesome. That is awesome, though. That's a seriously good budget. I got to tell you, I was shocked yesterday. We had talked to one of the filmmakers, and he was like, I think we spent like $200 to make this movie, and my jaw dropped. I'm like, dude, are you serious? I
What?
can't believe that. $200, right, Michael? It was $200 for the Brandon. Simple as that. I want to say it was like $300, and it's incredible. It's black and white. You should see it. He's like you
Oh,
with black and
definitely.
white thing. But it's just, it amazes me. I got another friend, Chris Newman, zero. Put nothing into it. Got his family working on it the whole bit. I'm like, dude,
Yep.
what is the deal with this? I can't, I can't even run a festival for zero, let alone make
Well,
a movie for the God's sake.
right now is the perfect time to be making stuff, especially if you're quarantining with like your family.
Yep.
Like you have the opportunity right now to just make a whole bunch of stuff for like no
Right.
money.
Exactly.
Just write it and make it, because
Thank
like
you.
you can come out with so much content right now.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Are you drinking more coffee during this quarantine / pandemic / crisis and or
Yes.
drinking? I'm on coffee for now.
Right. Well, actually, right. I'm having Coca-Cola right now.
Oh, dude, you're the man.
But yeah, lots of coffee. I haven't been drinking as much lately. It's like drinking as of
That's
lately,
good.
because I've been really, my brain's been kind of going overtime with writing, and I just had to put together my first pitch deck. And
Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
do you know what a pitch deck is?
I make them. I do. In
Yeah.
fact, I had to make one for a filmmaker, and I was like, it shocks me. And you should talk about this for a minute while we have a minute, because we have filmmakers and actors in here. 30 seconds off the top of your head, what should people know about making a pitch deck? I read some material from a filmmaker, and I said, yeah, no, we're not quite where we need to be. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
if you could give any advice to somebody, where did you find out how to do it? I work in PR to some extent, so I get it, and I knew how to do that. But for newbies or people trying to learn, what's a great resource for them to put?
Well, here's the thing. I had to go online and do a bunch of research, because I had a producer ask me, and his team asked me to send them a pitch deck, and I'm like, what the F is a pitch deck? Because I've never had to make one before.
Right.
I'm to find out it's a very common thing in corporate America, and I guess maybe just not corporate America, but corporate the world. But it's this basic, marketing tool to kind of summarize your project.
Sure.
And so like as a screenwriter, I put together this, 13-page piece of graphic design work that pretty much gives, the synopsis of the film, the log line, characters, projected budget, stuff like that. And you're really just trying to visually sell the script without handing somebody a script that they have to read, 90 to 120 pages.
Sure.
They can just open this pitch deck up and flip through it and figure out what the movie's about and figure out whether or not they want to put any money into it. And so it's a really cool tool, and it was a really interesting skill for me to learn, because I think it's kind of beneficial now for me in case I ever have somebody ask me to do that again. At least I know how to do it at this point. There are some really cool tutorials that some executives have actually put on YouTube. You can actually go on YouTube and it'll.
Oh my gosh.
How to make an actual pitch deck that people will be positively reacting to. So it's an interesting thing. It's really an interesting thing. And I think as writers, as screenwriters, especially if you ever have an opportunity to talk to somebody, a producer or that you could possibly interest in making your movie, instead of standing there in an elevator with 5 other people and trying to pitch this person in 30 seconds, all you got to do is hand it to them.
Exactly.
Hey, if you get a chance to look this over, it's pretty cool. Or if, somebody, if you get asked to have one sent, like just happened to me, I'm able to go oh man, I can pound one of these out in 5 days. and get it sent out to you. So yeah, it's a really great skill to have.
Oh, I bet. Now, tell us at this moment in time, potential inertia. Is it distributed all over the place? Is it available to purchase? What's the exact status as of today?
The movie itself lives on Pivot Share, and which is like this cool little company, and nobody knows about it, obviously. I just saw that
I was just going to
reaction.
say, I'm like,
That
huh?
reaction. You're like, Pivot Share? What is Pivot Share?
Just saying.
Yeah, people can go buy or rent it on Pivot Share, but
Okay.
yeah, that's where it lives.
No Amazon or the other ones? I see a lot of people jump to the Amazon and other places as far as that goes.
Yeah, it was originally on Amazon through a different company, but I had them pull it because I just wanted total control over how people get to
Absolutely.
watch it. So
Oh, sure. That makes perfect sense. Okay. Now, since my time is almost running out with you, second question is tell everybody about your film festival, where it's going on and how they can participate and if they can help you in any way.
well, it's 1 p.m. on the 4th right now. So if anybody wants to, this probably won't go out until like tomorrow or the next day or later on in the week. But if anybody's watching, they can, if anybody has anything to submit, screenplay wise or film wise,
Oh,
you can do it today is the final deadline.
oh my God. Okay. I can put it out on my social media though, so people
That's
can
cool.
find
Yeah,
out
today's
in the page.
the Oil Valley Film Festival's late deadline for submissions is today. So
Okay.
that'll probably end up in midnight Eastern Standard,
Okay.
and well, no, that would be midnight West Coast, so 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and
2
then
a.m. Central, or no.
2
Yeah, 2
a.m.
a.m. Central.
Central,
Okay.
1 Mountain, and then midnight West Coast.
Okay. And what sorts of any limitations, all genres, etc., time
All
limits?
genres, yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
I got it. No maximum, no minimum as far as that goes. Okay. Set entry fee as well as
What's
do you
that?
have, I mean, that's okay. Do you have a set entry fee, meaning like 20, 25, 35, whatever?
Yeah, off the top of my hand, I couldn't tell you. It's not. It's on the site. It's on the site. I mean, I can pull it up here if you want me to.
I was just going to say, what I'll do is I'll ask you to send me the information. I'll post it up. And then this way, anybody that's here, anybody on the Art is Alive page or my page will know that they can submit. And of course, obviously, people will want to buy tickets when the time comes to be able to do it because you're doing it virtually. They want to be able to tune in and see some of the fine films because I'm all big on making sure people are out still watching movies. It's a big deal. Tell everybody how they can find you in particular if they want to stay connected with you, Matt.
You can get a hold of me on Twitter at Matt Croyle or Instagram at Matt Croyle Official.
Yes. Yeah. The big dog that he is. And the only other question I have for you is what's up next now in terms of writing, or what are you going to create next?
Well, obviously, I have that deck sent out for a new screenplay,
right?
That I'm currently working on. So fingers crossed with that. That would be really nice if we got some help to make that film. It's a horror / sci-fi feature that has been on the back burner for quite a while, but I'm really excited about working on it again. And so I was asked to send more information out. So there's that. Waiting on another writing partner to finish their section of screenplay. An anthology screenplay that I am writing on with James Marandino, who wrote and directed SLC Punk. So we're waiting on our other writing partner to get us their section of the screenplay before we can go in and make some tweaks to that and
sure
that up. And other than that, I also see I do so much stuff. I do the scribe playwriting competition every year. And that's another thing that's happening right now. We're open for 2021 entries right now, and I am currently in the process of judging the 2020 entries.
Sure.
Simultaneously with the film festival. So that, how that works, though.
Yes, I do. All too well.
20 things going on at one time. So whatever time I can get, to relax and be creative myself, or at least just read a book and just
Right.
chill out, like I welcome so much.
I do appreciate what you're saying. That's for sure. I haven't had time to myself. I'm taking a little vacation with my kids after this because I'm just
Oh,
tired,
nice.
5 days of all this, it's tough. It's really tough. So
Yeah,
this is what I want to say to you because we're a little bit behind here. And of course I have to kick you off. So let me just leave you with this,
I'm
Matt.
cool with that.
Number one, first of all, once again, for the umpteenth time, thank you, thank you, thank you for letting me share your art with everybody. I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you as a person and as a founder for taking the time and putting in the initiative and the effort to do everything that you do for the arts community. I think most of
I
us
appreciate that.
should be appreciated for what we do and how hard we work and how much effort is put into it. So thank you for doing that. If I can do anything to help the festival of yours, know that I will, of course. The thing that I treasure most more than anything is that I know that I can call you or I can message you anytime. You've been a wonderful, wonderful, sensational support. And I can't thank you enough for that, truly. And anything I can do for you, know that I will.